The next person to talk is Daryl Gould. Mr. Gould.
So good evening, my name is Daryl Gould. As I've said multiple times at this podium, I have 3 kids in the district. I'm not going to get into a ton of stats because I know a lot of good people behind me who have tons of data to support our side. I am here to speak in opposition of any form of mask mandate. First, and it's not often I can say this, a lot of what I've heard and what I'm hearing about masks are just patently wrong. I don't need to provide any research on this because I would be considered a subject matter expert when it comes to respiratory protection. I own a company that focuses on identifying, correcting indoor environmental problems that are biological in nature. So I do a lot with hygiene, personal respiratory protection, things along those lines. And I'm not going to get into all the reasons why. The short of it is the masks just simply don't work. Secondly, no one's really, I mean, we talked surface level about some of the detriments of the masking. And so we hear people say things like, I don't see a negative side of this. The American Association of Pediatrics has said there's a direct correlation to the spike we've seen with depression and anxiety in our children as a direct correlation to being masked for multiple hours a day. Secondly, we hear a lot about socio-emotional learning from certain people on the school committee. So it's interesting that, the children who were most affected by masking were actually the most vulnerable. The youngest students with IEPs, if there are any parents in here who have a student who has any kind of speech disability or something on those lines, never mind just run-of-the-mill IEPs, they saw firsthand how the kids who were most vulnerable in the last year were left to swing in the wind. And we can't do this for another year. The science doesn't back it up. The other thing I think that we hear about quite a bit is our decreasing enrollment, how this has been a challenge for our district. At tonight's meeting alone, you have 13 families who represent 20 children who, and I've talked to some of them, in part because of this issue alone, they don't want to wait to hear what your guidance is, okay? Basically, they've made the decision, we're not going to deal with it, we're pulling our kids out of the district. That's just the kids homeschooling, that's just this meeting. We've had other meetings where families are requesting homeschooling. We also have parents that you're not even aware of that have opted to go to private school. So if we're concerned about socio-emotional learning, if we're concerned about these big issues that come up all the time, I don't understand why we would make decisions that, again, exceed what your authority is. The reality of this is, we get painted as selfish because, people think we want to make people sick. What's selfish is forcing other people to do things in defiance of science, logic, and reason because it makes you feel better. It's morally reprehensible and people shouldn't be doing it. Thank you.